You know, from the very earliest days of Jesuit education, and therefore from the very earliest days of the founding of Regis itself, disputation was a real central part of Renaissance humanism. So the ability to argue, the ability to speak in public, was the way we communicated the ideas we had, was the way we kept alive the humanities we were learning. From the very earliest days of Regis High School, one of the very first activities we had in the school were formal debates. And debates have been going on here for 100 years. You all know that if you've had Regis students living with you at home. Debating is really a wonderful, wonderful activity for us here at the school. We've been very proud of the success of the Hearn Speech and Debate Society, again for almost 80 years at this point, and especially for long-serving coaches like Eric D. McKelly, well over the quarter-century mark. We don't like to say how much over the quarter-century mark. And the great success of today's current Hearn Speech and Debate Society. So tonight's debate is a little taste of what goes on when we do speech and debate here at Regis. It's also a taste of what historically was so valuable about Jesuit humanistic education, something that Regis has kept alive now for a century and which we're very confident will continue for a second 100 years. So let me introduce our long-serving coach of the Hearn Speech and Debate Society, Eric D. McKelly.
Father Judge's remarks and thank you for showing up. Those of you who have been coming to the Centennial events, you know that there's a weather pattern that we've been following. The moment we announce an event, it will either snow or rain, and this is no exception. We're going to have a beach party in July, okay? So stay tuned for details. So I have 4 excellent debaters up here. 3 excellent debaters in an empty spot. Dave, did you alienate your partner already?
I promise no.
Okay. So, back to the weather for a moment. Believe it or not, one of our debaters is stuck. He is sitting, or was sitting in a plane for 3.5 hours in Boston, coming down from Harvard to join us today. I have a series of texts and increasingly frantic phone calls from him, which I will be cutting as a dramatic interpretation piece next year. Unfortunately, he is not able to arrive. Almost all of the airports, you may not know this, are actually fogged in New York. Pat Bannon, one of our judges, was rerouted and ended up coming to Newark from Indianapolis. Chris, who's coming up from Georgia, ended up going through Atlanta. And Alex was unable to come. However, his parents are here, so I want to wave to the parents, all right? You know, we're discovering this at about 4:30. And so what do you do when you're discovering at 4:30 that the Centennial debate, I couldn't actually say to Alex, we'll get you the next Centennial debate. Knowing Alex, he'll probably still around, but I certainly will not be around at that point, although I suspect Grandma Julia will be around. I have a lot of talented debaters here, sitting up in the upper reaches here, and I could have called on any of these debaters, but they probably would have gotten a little nervous. So I decided to open it up to the audience, okay, for this 4th spot. This was a couple of weeks ago, we had the Regis auction. Who would not want to be a debater at the Hearn Centennial? I'm going to start the bidding at $5,000. But seriously, we do need a debater, and I'm just going to have to ask if anyone in this audience here would be willing to debate. I see Dilly Kennedy. Would you like to debate with your dad? No? Jonah, how about you? Yeah, I didn't think so. Charlie Barton, I know you've been debating your brother and you've been doing that your whole life, okay? I thought you might be able to join Dave, and since you know all the secrets about Mike, you can expose them as such. Is there anyone here who'd be willing to take on this awesome task? I see no one. Oh, I see a young man over here. Are you sure? Have you ever debated before?
No, sure, I'll try it.
You'll try. Come on up. I've never seen this guy before in my life. Luigi. Okay, great. Exactly in uniform for a debate, I might point out. He's wearing sneakers. The other guys, they look like the lawyers they are or will be, okay? But actually, we know this guy. His name is Paul Held. And seriously, I mean, obviously when Alex called me, this gave me a heart attack. And I've had a series of heart attacks over the last couple of weeks, but this one was a big one. And Alex felt very bad about it. And he will be here, as I said, for the 100th. But there's only one person that I know who can jump in at the last minute, okay, and achieve the same level of excellence that Alex would have offered us tonight, and that's Paul Held.